Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, 5b, top of the page. It was in the middle of an idea of why he said, my sister's son. V'ibais ema, if you wish, instead he called him my sister's son. That is, Rabbi Chia called him my sister's son. He called Rav my sister's son. Okay, now we're on top of 5b. Al Shem Chachmato. Dichtiv. Emor Chachma Achoti At. It was due to his extraordinary wisdom, as it is written, say to wisdom, you are my sister. Proverbs 7, verse 4. Emor Chachma Achoti At. I wonder what the gematria of that is. 1164. Emor Chachma Achoti At. Yep, 74. 74. Who knows 74? Yatir B'choires. Al Yatir. My Taima. Ilem Mishum de lo Hakim. Hakam Rinon. De Hakim Tuvo. El Mishum de lo Ipaki Bemume. The Gemara had related that Rabbi Chia asked from Yehuda HaNasi, may Rav declare a firstborn animal permitted? And that Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi had responded, he may not declare such an animal permitted. The Gemara asks, what is the reason that he denied him this permission? If we say that is because Rav was not sufficiently wise and learned, but that is difficult, as we already said that he was exceedingly wise. Rather, it must be that it was because, although he was quite knowledgeable about the halakha, he was not an expert with regard to blemishes, meaning that he lacked the practical expertise to apply the halakha. Okay. ואמר רב 18 חדשים גדלתי אצל רועה בהמו. לידע איזה מום קבוע ואיזה מום עובר, אל לחלק לו כבוד לרבי בר חנה. Rabba Bar Chana. Rabba Bar Chana was maybe Rabba's son. That was wrong. He was the son of Chana. Maybe there were two people. Who knows? I see there's a clear distinction between Rabba Bar Chana and Rabba Bar Chana. Anyway, the Gemara rejects his answer, but didn't Rav say, I apprenticed with a shepherd for 18 months in order to be able to know which blemish is a permanent blemish and which is a temporary blemish? Evidently, he had a high level of practical expertise in this matter. The Gemara explains, rather, it was in order to bestow honor upon Rabbi Bar Chana. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi wanted to ensure that Rabbi Bar Chana would be treated with respect, so he made sure that there was an area of halacha with regard to which the people would not be able to consult with Rav, and he would need to consult with Rabbi Bar Chana instead. Mishumha gufe de Rav baki b'muitzvei v'shori mume de lo yadi inashi v'amri ki hai gavne sharav v'asulamishre mumoiver. And if you wish, you can say instead, it is due to this fact itself. Since Rav was a great expert with regard to blemishes, he would permit blemishes that average people don't know about. And as a result, they would erroneously say, with regard to a different blemish, in a case like this, Rav declared the animal permitted. And in this way, they would come to erroneously permit an animal with a temporary blemish, believing it to be identical to the blemish that Rav had declared permitted. Due to this concern, Rav was denied the authority to declare firstborn animals permitted on the basis of a blemish. Yoire. Igomir Reshus Elamali, Lemishkal, Mishum Maaseh Shehoyo. With regard to the permission granted to Rabbi Bar Chana and Rav, the Gemara had related that Rabbi Chia asked Rabbi Yehuda, Anosi, may he teach people and issue rulings concerning what is prohibited and what is permitted? And Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi responded, he may teach. The Gemara asks, if he had studied and mastered the relevant halachot, why do I need him to receive permission? The need for formal authority is understandable when it comes to serving on a court to judge cases of monetary law, but any knowledgeable person should be qualified to answer questions about ritual law. The Gemara explains that the need for such permission is due to an incident that took place. Titania, Pa'am achas halach Rabbi lemakom echad, ve'ra bnei adam shemagablin isotehem betuma. Amar lahem, mipnei ma atem megablin isotechem betuma. Amru lo, talmid echad ba lekan vehora lanu, מי ביצעים אין מכשירים, וכל מי ביצים דרש להו, ואין סבור מי ביצועים כאומר. As it is taught in a Braita, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi once went to a certain place, and he saw people there kneading dough while they were in a state of ritual impurity, and they believed that nevertheless the dough remain ritually pure. Yehuda Hanasi said to them, for what reason are you kneading your dough in a state of ritual impurity? They said to him, a certain Torah scholar came here and taught us that water from swamps, mei b'tzaim, does not render food susceptible to contract ritual impurity. Therefore, they would take water from swamps, and knead the dough with it. And in the mistaken belief that such dough would not be susceptible to ritual impurity. But, in reality, what he taught them was that water of eggs, mei beitzim, in other words, the albumin of eggs does not render food susceptible to impurity, as it is not considered water. But they thought he said water from swamps. Mei bitzaim. Bita'anu nami haveha. He should have got a written that this is where there should be yesh aim le mikra. There should be yesh aim le mesoires, because you should see it written down. That's a raya that it should be written down, because if they saw it written down, Beitzim, they would never have said Bitzaim. Okay? Bitanu nami baha me karamion ume fego pasulin. B'pnei shehen me bitzoim. V'inu savur mid legabe chatos besili. איך שוירי נמי לא מכשירי ולא יעשם עניין חטוס בעינון מים חיים הכשורי כל דהו מכשירי. And the residents of that same place erred also with regard to this. It was taught in the Mishnah in Parah 8:10. The waters of the Keramion River, the waters of the Fega River, are not fit for mixing with ashes of the red heifer to use as water of purification, since they are water from swamps. And they erroneously thought, since this water is not fit for the use as water of purification, this means it's not considered water, and therefore it also does not render food susceptible to contracting impurity. But this is not so, as here with regard to water purification we need running water. See Numbers 19:17, and water from swamps is not running water. But here, with regard to rendering food susceptible to impurity, any water renders food susceptible. Any water, even swampy water. question is, why are they kneading dough with swamp water? That's nasty. Then again, in those days, they ate kutach habavli, which was moldy bread. Notice it's stale bread in rancid milk. They thought that was a delicacy, so go figure. It's probably the same. Anyway, Tanaboy Sasha Gazu Talmid Al Yoira Ela Imke Noitereshus Miraboy. It was taught at that time when Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi discovered the consequences resulting from a Torah scholar who was not precise with his terminology. The sages decreed, a Torah scholar may not teach halacha unless he receives permission from his teacher to do so. The teacher should not grant him permission if he does not know how to express himself in a clear manner. But he should have made a written psak and there would never have been a problem. So many questions come up with these things. Tanchum Bereid Rav Ami Ikla lechaser Drash lehu Mutar liltois Chitin bepesach Amru lo lav Rabbi Mani Dimin Tzur Ikahacha Vitanya Talmid El Yoire Halacha Mimkoim Raboy Al Yoire Halacha Mimkoim Raboy Ela Imkin Hoyer Achoik Mimenu Shlosh Parsois Keneged Machane Yisrael Amalahu Lav Adaite. Concerning a similar matter, the Gemara relates Tanchum, the son of Ami, arrived at a place called Atar, and he taught them it is permitted to wash wheat in a small amount of water in order to make it easier to peel during the grinding process on Passover, and there is no concern that perhaps it will become leavened. They said to him, isn't Rabbi Mani from Tyre here, meaning near our location, and is taught in right that Torah scholar may not teach halacha in the vicinity of his teacher, unless he is distant from him, the teacher, by at least 3 parsaot, 3 parasangs, corresponding to the size of the camp of Israel. In the encampment in the wilderness, no one else judged cases, as all the Jewish people brought their cases to Moses. See Exodus 33, verse 7. Tanchum, son of Rabbi Ami, said to them, it did not enter my mind that Rabbi Mani was in the vicinity. Okay. Rabbi Chia Chazielahu Gavra Deha Bekari Bebesa Kvarois Amalei Lav Ben Ish Ploini Koinato Amalei In Avua Dehu Gavra Gavinaim Have Nosan Enu Begrusha Vechilo. The Gemara relates, Rabbi Chia saw a certain man standing in a cemetery. He said to him, are you not the son of so-and-so the priest? As it is prohibited for priests to come into contact with the dead. See Leviticus 21, 1-4. Rabbi Chia was surprised to see a priest standing in a cemetery. The man said to him, yes, but that man, meaning his own father, was a man with raised eyes, who would desire things that he saw, even if they were forbidden. He set his eyes upon a divorcee and married her despite the Torah prohibition against such a union, see Leviticus 21:7, and thereby disqualified the offspring of that union from the sanctity of priesthood. As the son of a priest and a divorcee, the man had the status of a halal and was therefore not obligated to abide by the restrictions specific to priests. Pshito the palga Hakama de Bahani al Tanai Mai Toshimad Amarale Rabbi Yochanan of Shemin Hareata Berushuseinu Al Shitove Etzleinu. Continuing the discussion about receiving permission to teach halacha, the Gemara discusses the extent of this authority. It is obvious that one's teacher can grant partial permission, meaning permission to rule on certain types of cases, but not on others, as it has been said above, that doing so is effective. But what is the halacha with regard to granting such permission conditionally? Is it possible to grant permission limited to a certain period of time or limited to a certain location, the Gemara suggests, come and hear the solution to this matter from what Rabbi Yochanan said to Rav Shemin. You have our permission to instruct and to adjudicate until you return to us. This statement proves that it is possible to grant permission limited to a specific period of time. Gufa Amar Shmuel Shnaim Shedanu Dineim Din El Shenikra Beis Din Chatzuf Yesiv Rav Nachman B'Kamar Laha Shmaite Yesiv Rav Nachman Afilu Shnaim Mizakin O Shnaim Mechayvin Echad Omer En Yodea Yosifu Hadayonin V'i Isa Lehav V'Shneim Shadanu. Earlier, the Gemara discussed the possibility of a court consisting of only two judges adjudicating a case. Concerning the matter itself, Shmuel says, with regard to two judges who adjudicated a case, their judgment is a valid judgment, but they are called an impudent court. Rav Nachman sat and said this halacha. Rava raised an objection to Rav Nachman from a Mishnah in 29a. In a case where three judges are adjudicating a case, even if two judges deem the defendant exempt from payment, or two judges deem him liable to pay, and one says, I do not know, the judges must add another judge, since the one who abstained has removed himself from the court, and there are not enough judges, and if it is so, as Shmuel says, they should be viewed as two judges who adjudicated the case, and there would be no need to add another judge, as a judgment passed by two judges is valid. Shani Hosam Mikora Daite Ditalosi Yasive Hachalava Daite Ditalosi Yasive. Rav Nachman answered him, it is different there, as they convened from the outset with the knowledge that they are three, and intended to judge the case with three judges. Therefore, if one abstains, they must add another to complete the quorum. But here they did not convene with the knowledge that they are three, but rather intended to adjudicate the case as a court of two judges. Eis ve Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel Oimer Hadin b'shloisha u'peshor b'shnayim v'yov koyach peshor v'koyach hadin ששניים שדנו בעלי דינים יכולים לחזור בהן ושניים שעשו בשורה אין בעלי דינים יכולים לחזור בהן. Rava raised an objection to Rav Nachman from a Braise. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel says cases of monetary law are adjudicated by three judges, and mediation leading to compromise can be performed by two mediators, and the power of compromise is greater than the power of adjudication, as if two judges adjudicated a case, the litigants are able to withdraw from the case and demand a court with a complete quorum. But if two mediated with a compromise, the litigants may not withdraw.